What's up? It's Jan back at it again with another nerdy bookish video. This is gonna be the mid-year book freakout tag. So apparently I did do this last year. I was under the assumption that I've never done this tag, but here we are, back at it again with round 2 of this video, apparently. All right, so basically at the end of June or whatever, people do this tag to kind of recap the first half of the year. So here I am. I don't have much time, so we're gonna go right into it. I also didn't pre-plan this, so I'm gonna be like running around and stuff looking for the books to answer these questions, and that's why we're standing today. Classic Jan, being much prepared as always. Number 1, best book you've read so far in 2022. I need my journal for this. Hold on. I honestly want to say A Certain Hunger. Joey has the actual book right now. First of all, this cover. Second of all, I waited too long to read this book because I discovered it last year. I was shelving books at work and then I opened up to chapter 18. It's titled Hot Dog, and the whole first page of that chapter is about love, and it was so well written that I was like, I can't just check this out from the library. I need to annotate this book. So I immediately added it to cart and bought it while I was on the clock. Don't tell my boss. I'm gonna start off by saying if you like the movie Fresh, you will definitely love this book. The writing is exquisite. It's about this female serial killer who's also a cannibal. You're reading from her perspective as a 50-year-old in prison. The author makes you think it's because of one thing, but it's actually because of this twisty little thing that happens at the end. It is dense. It's only like 250 pages, but it is really dense. But again, the writing is exquisite, so it's worthwhile. And if you like writing about food, this one is also good for that because she's a foodie. Like I said, she's a cannibal, so she makes these body parts into like delectable cuisine, and it's fantastic. And it's written like a memoir, kind of. Like you would think that the author is writing about herself and her own personal experiences. I literally had to look up, is this nonfiction? Because I was like, is Chelsea G. Summers completely exposing herself? Like, yeah, so this is a great one. The cover is everything. It's in my all-time faves. I think about this book so often. Next question is best sequel you've read so far in 2022. Have I read any? Oh! The Blood is Love by Karina Halley. So this is the sequel to this gem. Black Sunshine. First of all, these covers, my aesthetic in a nutshell. Let's be freaking real. So Black Sunshine is this dark romance about this vampire who, you know, classic, didn't know she was a vampire, and then when she turned 21, she gets kidnapped by these vampires who basically reveal her whole life to her. She also has other powers that could be a spoiler if I say it, so I'm not going to. But this was my book club pick with McKay from McKay's Book Vlogs in February. He hated it, but I absolutely loved it. The romance in this had me squealing. The Blood is Love had all of that, but make it more fantasy. The sequel kind of has more of a plot fantasy-wise, still has all the romance, and it has one of the craziest sex scenes I've ever read. But yes, that is the best sequel I've read this year. This is probably the only sequel I've read this year, to be fair, but I plan on reading a lot more because I gotta get through my series I want to read, that I wanted to read in 2021 but never got to. I gotta step on my game, but these two are on my favorite shelf, so if that says anything. Honestly, the sequel to The Keeper of Night by Kylie Lee Baker might top that. I'm also planning on reading The Damned next month, and also When Night Breaks. The next question is a new release you haven't read yet but want to. Okay. Ordinary Monsters. This is set in England, 1882, Victorian London. There are these kids who have, no, I thought it was shadow magic. It's not shadow magic. It's like these kids have all these powers. I just have a feeling that this is gonna be everything because I feel like the world building is gonna be intense, but I feel like I'm gonna be able to focus on it because it's such a highly anticipated book. As soon as I heard about it, I was like, wow, I need that ASAP. Rocky. What follows is a story of wonder and betrayal from the gaslit streets of London and the wooden theaters of Meiji-era Tokyo to an eerie estate outside Edinburgh, where other children with gifts, the talents, have been gathered. Victorian London is like my favorite setting. I also love when books are set in Scotland. This cover, come on. Yeah, so this is one. My mom also recently bought me The Children on the Hill by Jennifer McMahon. I'm thinking of doing a Jennifer McMahon vlog because I have 3 of her books, but I haven't read any of them. 4 of her books. I have The Winter People too. I haven't read any of them. And I heard this is a thriller based on Frankenstein, or like inspired by Frankenstein. I'm assuming there's gonna be creepy children, and I haven't been super creeped out by a book in a while, so hoping this is the one. The Woman in the Library by Sulari Gentill. I'm gonna be reading this in September though, but it just came out. I'm gonna be reading it in September for a book club discussion I'm hosting for work, but this is about 4 people in the Boston Public Library in the quiet reading room, and then the library goes into lockdown because a woman starts screaming, and then one of those 4 people is the murderer. And I heard it's best to go into this as blindly as possible, so that's all I'm gonna say. What else? Oh, pause. I also want to read The Lies I Tell by Julie Clark because Julie Clark wrote The Last Flight. That book was the thriller that got me into thrillers, so I'm really excited for this, and it involves con women. Ever since I read The 1000th Floor by Catherine McGee, con artists have been one of my favorite tropes, so I'm gonna look at my Amazon wish list. Oh, Tripping Arcadia. It's another gothic novel, and it's sapphic, and I love the cover. Nettle and Bone by T. Kingfisher I'm gonna have as a book club pick later on this year. As soon as I read that synopsis, I was like, wow, there's a lot going on. Wow, I need to read this. Hidden Pictures by Jason Recollect. That's another one with creepy children that I heard is really good, and I love that cover as well. The Undead Truth of Us has not come out yet. It comes out in August, but that involves zombies and this girl who loves Starry Night by Van Gogh, or Van Gogh in general, and Jessie said I would absolutely devour that book, so I'm gonna read that. The Weight of Blood by Tiffany D. Jackson. That comes out in September. Gonna be reading that. Don't Go to Sleep by Bryce Moore. This comes out in August, and I loved The Perfect Place to Die by this author, and no one has talked about it that I've seen, so I'm excited for this one. Hell Followed With Us by Andrew Joseph White. I talked about this in my most anticipated June releases. Wild is the Witch by Rachel Griffin, who wrote The Nature of Witches. Sorry, I have so many answers for this one. You Made a Fool of Death with Your Beauty by Kwake Umezi, because I love Dear Senthadad. I love their writing. I love their entire personality. Love their Instagram. I heard The Last Housewife is really good, but that comes out in August. I haven't read In My Dreams I Hold a Knife yet, which is the same author. All right, most anticipated release for the second half of the year. The first one I can think of is the sequel to The Keeper of Night, which is right here. This is one of my favorite YA fantasies of all time. Half British Reaper, half Japanese Shinigami. There's this girl named Ren who like doesn't feel like she belongs because she lives in London, but she's Japanese, and she is just juggling those two cultures. And then she's also a Reaper and Shinigami. She goes on this mission with her brother and this guy in the first book. Shit goes down. There are these Japanese demons coming out of nowhere left and right. Her little brother is a Reaper, and he just like hates it. His conscience, it's not in his nature to be killing random people, right? I'm so excited for the second book. I might even reread this before the release, who knows? Holy shit, I didn't realize I tabbed it this much. And then this cover, can we take a moment of silent reflection? Thank you. A lot of those that I mentioned in the previous question have not come out yet, so those are, oh shit, fuck. Number 5, biggest disappointment. All right, I need my handy dandy notebook for this. I have a couple. Some of my most anticipated have been 2 stars. Gallant by V.E. Schwab was 2 stars for me. Y'all know how much I loved Addie LaRue, and I knew this wouldn't be on the same wavelength whatsoever. It felt a little too YA for me. It almost felt middle grade to me. I mean, I heard the audiobook's really good, according to Hannah, but I read it once. I enjoyed the illustrations. I'm not gonna read it again. I'm gonna keep it around because it's gorgeous. Another 2-star book for me that I was highly anticipating was the sequel to, oh, there, I read another sequel this year. The sequel to Tokyo Ever After, which is Tokyo Dreaming by Emiko Jean. Talk about too much YA, like holy shit. My favorite character wasn't even in it, and I'll link my vlog down below. Because there was another disappointment in there, which was Book Lovers by Emily Henry. Too much of the sister dynamic, not enough of the romance. It wasn't enemies to lovers. It was so underwhelming. Again, I'll link the vlog down below. And then I just finished The House Across the Lake by Riley Sager last night, actually, as of the time I'm filming this. And this was kind of a disappointment too, just because it was like a mishmash of a bunch of other thrillers that I've read. Like, I feel like he didn't really do anything original. The twist after twist after twist thing that he does in his books is prominent in this too. I gave this one 3 stars. Spoiler alert for my vlog. Once that vlog comes out, I talk about it a lot more, but I feel like it wasn't fair to give it anything lower than 3 stars, because if I hadn't read those books prior, I'd probably be really shook and shaken by this. But alas, I read those books that had elements in this that were or the same things I've seen before, and it took way too long to get there, to be frank. To answer the question, my biggest disappointment of this year was Book of Night by Holly Black, and I'm so glad that a lot of y'all feel the same way when you read this. This is like a super early art. I got this like end of January, and I kind of flew through it, but also kind of didn't because I was going through it all of February. So I think part of the reason I didn't enjoy this as much as I could have is because of all the turmoil that was happening in my life, and now I associate this with that period of time, so that kind of sucks. But I was so excited for the, you know, the crescent moon on the cover of the finished copy. I'm not even gonna buy it. I wanted more shadow magic. The world building was great. Didn't feel connected to any of the characters, and that's a big thing for me in books. The shadow magic was what I was the most excited for. A lot of the times it was just confusing. It was a lot of info dumping. Biggest disappointment, I gave this one, I think 2 stars as well. 2 or 3? 3. All right, next question. Biggest surprise. Okay, I think I have my answer. Open Water by Caleb Azuma Nelson. This is only a surprise because I wasn't planning on picking it up. I picked it up spontaneously, and this was actually supposed to be one of my gifts to Jessie, and I was like, I have this weird urge to just pick this up right now because it's short and a romance, but it's not like a cheesy, lighthearted romance. The writing is incredible, it's super poetic. It made me cry at the end, and I was not expecting this short little book to have this much of an effect on me, and now it's on my favorite shelf. Oh, Layla by Colleen Hoover, another big surprise because I am so like apprehensive when it comes to Colleen Hoover because of all her hype for what, like her covers are so fucking ugly. I still have to read Verity, which I know I'll probably love, but Layla was a huge surprise for me. I gave that one 5 stars. Oh god. But yeah, I was not a fan of Ugly Love. I'm not gonna read any of Colleen Hoover's romances. Like, she's on my anti-TBR aside from Verity, and if she ever writes another like thrillery romance, then yeah. But yep, The Love Hypothesis, also a shocker for me because it was so hyped, and usually overhyped books are just like kind of disappointing for me, but Love Hypothesis lived up to it, let me tell you. And it was also a surprise to me that Jessie loved it and that's what made me read it, because I was like, if Jessie loves a hetero romance, there's something there, you know? And then the last surprise that I want to talk about is These Hollow Vows by Lexi Ryan. This is my first read of 2022. It's my first 5-star of the year. I knew it was gonna be this YA fairy situation, and it's compared to ACOTAR, it's compared to The Cruel Prince. And at first I was like, wow, this is like too similar to those. I mean, I haven't read The Cruel Prince, but from what I've heard, you know? And I was like, okay. But then by the end of that book, obsessed. Oh, that's another sequel that I'm highly anticipating. These Twisted Bonds. It comes out in July. So stoked for that one. Like, that one is one that I'm gonna buy on the release date, start on the release date type of thing. Like, stoked. Stoked. Number 7, favorite new author, debut or new to you? I think this is their debut as well, but also new to me. Chelsea G. Summers, also new to me. Karina Halley, also new to me. Kane Minato, who wrote Confessions. This author is brilliant. The way this book is like laid out and the way the perspectives are arranged, it's brilliant. That's new to me. Oh, Katie Robert, new to me as well. Love this series. I'm going to finish it. I've already read the sequel. Disney smutty retellings. This one was about Jasmine and Jafar. Obsessed with it. St. Abby, author of the Mindfuck series, also new to me. Yeah, okay, moving on. I lose track of like which books are authors' debuts or not. So like, I don't know. I read a bunch of new authors pretty much every year, so kind of cool to like look back on. Number 8, newest fictional crush. Absalom from Black Sunshine. Yeah, he made me want to marry a vampire. But yep, Absalom from here. I just remember like squealing over DeMarco and Where Dreams Descend. Just, I love a good bad boy cinnamon roll who's misunderstood, sad boy type of thing. Okay, we're gonna stick with those two. And I definitely feel like I have a lot of fantasy on my TBR for the end of the year, and I feel like there are gonna be a lot of new fictional crushes on there. But I've never been that type of bitch who's like, yep, that's my book boyfriend type of thing. Like, I don't know, but I have squealed over many fictional men. Newest favorite character. Oh, this one's easy. Galaxy Stern from Ninth House. She is a bad bitch. Her attitude is top tier. I love her snarky comments, her witty comebacks. She is a bad bitch. That is all. Book that made you cry. Since I already talked about Open Water too many times. Wait, did that make me cry? I think it made me cry a little bit. Love Boat Reunion by Abigail Hing Wen. This is the sequel. Oh, another sequel I read. Look at me go. It's a sequel to Love Boat Taipei. Oh, that's another fictional crush. The character named Xavier in this book, that's one of my fictional crushes. So I did a little reread this year, and yeah, Normal People made me sob. The show made me sob. The audiobook made me sob. Absolutely love this, and upon reread, it is now on my favorite shelf. It's one of my favorites of all time. I've established this. I've tabbed so many pages of this book. This has so many good quotes and so many relatable situations and feelings. I have goosebumps just talking about it, so. Oh, the spin-off to the Black Sunshine duology, Night Wolf, also made me cry, but not for reasons that I thought I would going into this book. It was less fantastical, more human elements in this that made me cry, so there's that. All right, next question. Number 11, a book that made you happy. I literally cannot do this. Like, if I didn't have my reading journal, I would never do tags because I could never. January feels so long ago, but People We Meet on Vacation made me crack up. I don't want to link that vlog down below because it has people I don't want to resurface, but I did vlog this. I did crack up a bunch. This made me so happy. John Green's nonfiction, The Anthropocene Reviewed, made me so happy because John Green is just so nostalgic for me. His writing is so quirky, is the only way I could explain it. Just so colloquial, and you feel like you're reading from a best friend's perspective, and his insight on life is just unlike any others that I've seen, and it just made me so happy to be reading another one of his books. So that's another one. I've been reading a lot of Junji Ito this year. All those make me really happy because I love his art style. I love his horrific stories, and just his whole brand is just everything. The other ones that made me happy, like I've talked about, like Desperate Measures and all the new favorites on my shelf. Moving on to number 12, the most beautiful book you've bought so far this year or received. The first one that comes to mind is Ordinary Monsters. My mom bought this for me. A subscriber named Varpu from Finland sent me a bunch of Waterstones special editions. Like, look at this. This is Reprieve, Sundial with the orange sprayed edges. And then she sent me one of my favorite books, Acts of Desperation, the Waterstones edition. The other one she sent me is The Clockwork Girl. It's behind my balloons, I believe, so I don't want to like mess with that, you know. I do really want the 50 Shades of Grey 10th anniversary edition. When I get that in my hands, that's gonna be on this list too of pretty books I've gotten this year so far. 50 Shades of Grey is the reason I started reading again after high school, when like I didn't have to read anymore for like a grade. So yeah, that book means a lot to me. So that special edition would be everything. Navy blue sprayed edges. It has a ribbon bookmark. It says Later's Baby on the end papers. You guys, I need it. Last question, what books do you need to read by the end of the year? Too many. I will link my 22 books I need to read down below, but I'm doing pretty well. I've read more than half. Number 22 is like series I want to read or finish, so it's like a longer thing. So like even if I read a few just from that list, that'll count for the 22nd book. This book isn't on that list, but I really want to read Empire of the Vampire, especially because I know McKay absolutely devoured this book. I've had this for a while. Y'all know me and my vampires. I feel like I would love this just as much. I feel like it's gonna be on the same level as A Dowry of Blood for me, she said, hopefully, but it's a thick bitch, so we shall see. But yeah, McKay has really high standards in my opinion for books, so like if he says this is immaculate, then I will take his word for it. There are a lot of like book of the month books I want to read still, mostly because I want to fulfill those book of the month challenges, but also like I picked them for a reason, right? And then all of like the new releases that I still have to get my hands on. Honestly, this tag is kind of exhausting to like think about, like brain power wise, this tag is exhausting. I have to put these books away, that's also going to be exhausting. But anyway, I gotta get going to work. I gotta get my coffee and breakfast. So, well, it's lunch now, it's like fucking 1 o'clock. But if you made it to the end of this video, mid-year, June, put the smiling sun emoji in the comments down below. Thank you so much for watching. Hope y'all had a great day. Stay safe and stay positive always, and I'll see y'all in my next video. Bye!